This episode is brought to you by Nordstrom. Whether you're packing for a vacation or dressing for a wedding, Nordstrom has head-to-toe looks for wherever summer takes you. From swimwear and bold color to romantic florals and dresses that make an entrance, find the right style for every unforgettable moment. Shop new arrivals from brands you love like Farm Rio, Free People, Vince, Wait, and Stod. Plus free shipping and returns and styling help whenever you need it make it all so easy. Shop now in stores at Nordstrom.com or download the Nordstrom app.
Girl, winter is so last season. And now spring's got you looking at pictures of tank tops with hungry eyes. Your algorithm is feeding you cutoffs. You're thirsty for the sun on your shoulders. That perfect hang on the patio sundress. Those sandals you can wear all day and all night. And you've had enough of shopping from your couch. Done hoping it looks anything like the picture when you tear open that envelope? It's time for a little in-person spring treat. It's time for a trip to Ross. Work your magic.
Welcome everybody back to another episode of Seaweed Brain, a Percy Jackson podcast. We are sort of slowly winding down our season 2 Sea of Monsters television coverage, and we are having all of the final conversations that we really need to have in order to wrap up our comprehension of season 2 of the Percy Jackson TV show. And we did not finish our 4-quadrant conversation from a couple weeks ago with Jennifer and Jada because we needed to bring somebody onto this podcast who has never read the books. We needed to cover the 4th quadrant, everybody. Stick around. Stay tuned. It's my sister's boyfriend back in the house.
Patrons will remember.
Yes. Okay, y'all. This is a guest today who you will know if you are a patron, and if you're not a patron, shameless Patreon plug. You want to have cool content from people like Dylan on your feed all the time? Patreon.com/seaweedbrain. We have Dylan DeLuca, full name, coming to join us on the podcast on the main feed for the first time. What's up, Dylan?
Hey there. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I am Erica, joined as always by my co-host Carter. What's up, Carter? Are you excited to have Dylan here today?
I am, yeah. It's about to get normal, adult, illiterate.
No promises.
That progressively got worse. Those adjectives you were using to describe Dylan got progressively worse.
I feel like
no,
when
they're
we
flattering.
Did it for
I'll take
season
them.
1, we called it. Did we not call it like the illiterate episode or something?
Well, for context, Dylan, for season 1, we had Carter's partner on, so we called
So I felt
Carter's
comfortable
partner
calling it the illiterate episode to them. Because, of course, the concept of today's episode, as we got into, so we're covering the 4th quadrant, and we are getting opinions on the show, how it is metastasized in someone who did not grow up with the books, which will be exciting.
I would like to clarify. I haven't read the books, but I am literate. I can read.
Yes, that is a good clarification.
Yeah.
Can read. Not everyone can say the same. Bring comics back to schools.
Yes. Let me set up the 4 quadrants, and then let's set up Dylan as a figure from which we are going to understand this 4th quadrant. So the 4 quadrants, this is the we coined John Steinberg Tetrahedron of Percy Jackson showmaking, as he mentioned once at some point in a pre-season 1 press junket interview about the 4 quadrants that it's important to hit. And these are 4 quadrants, that apply to all family media these days. Disney Plus shows that we're trying to make something that appeals to kids, something that appeals to adults, something that appeals to fans of the franchise, fans of the books in this case, and also people who have never encountered this material before. So we struggled for season 1 to find somebody who this could apply to. We took Carter's partner in, and now this season we have roped Dylan into watching all of season 2, which I think he finished a couple days ago. Now coming into the podcast, yes. Also, we just recorded with Zoe Neary, one of the producers on the show, and she brought up the quadrants and was referring to AWOC as a very major quadrant that they are thinking of in this show, AWOC, Adults Without Children. So we are 3 of us here today to represent the AWOC category, 2 different sides of it. Dylan is here with us today, not illiterate, in fact, but a large consumer of media in all forms. Dylan, you want to tell people what you do for work?
Oh, yes. Proud AWOC. Entertainment adjacent, I guess. I'm a production supervisor. I freelance on commercials, music videos, live in Los Angeles, California, just kind of working job to job. But I'm on the production team for music videos and commercials out here in Los Angeles.
Classic LA industry guy, Dylan DeLuca here. Dylan, big reader, big movie watcher, big Letterboxd user. Will you tell us, like, as far as comparable TV shows to Percy Jackson, like, do you watch any of the stuff that's like on Disney Plus? Like, have you watched like what you would call sort of like a family friendly show in recent years? Bluey not included. Bluey does not count.
No, to this extent, no. Yeah, this is definitely the most like family friendly, kid centric show I've seen in a while. I watch the Marvel shows and the Star Wars shows, on Disney Plus, but outside of those two properties.
To be fair, how much live action, not realistic, middle grade type of, I don't know. I don't know that it has that many comps today.
Yeah, I was trying to think of, I went into this expecting like Game of Thrones, which was like not the tone whatsoever. So yeah, it took me a while to kind of like, recalibrate my expectations to like kind of like, figure out this tone that we were kind of operating in, for sure.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk to you about the tone. And also, did you watch season 1?
No, not only have I never read the Percy books, I've never seen the Logan Lerman movies. I never saw season 1. I'm afraid I have a lot of questions. I hope my, takes aren't too hot or my questions too dumb. So we'll see how this goes. But
no take too hot, no question too dumb. And I specifically gave Dylan permission to not watch season 1. He asked, and I was sort of like, honestly, don't. Like, I feel like that's even better. Like, skip it. Like, did you watch a recap? Or I feel like I sent you a link to like a quick recap post of some kind.
Yeah, a few weeks ago you did, and I watched it then. I didn't revisit it, so it kind of, was forgotten by the time I actually sat down this Monday to watch it. So yeah, I was about as blank of a slate as you can get going into season 2.
Nice.
So.
Okay, so that's our slate has been cleaned, and that is sort of like where Dylan is coming from approaching season 2. I guess also one more thing would be your knowledge of like Greek mythology prior to the show. He's shaking his head, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's see. I saw the Disney Hercules movie growing up.
That's good. That's good.
See. In 7th grade, we did do like a, history semester of Greek mythology. We were like assigned different, Greek gods. I think I had Hermes I had to like dress up as and give a presentation on. Let's see. Otherwise, there was like a trilogy of video games that came out 20 years ago, God of War, that I played that like doesn't go too in depth with the Greek mythology, but introduced me to some characters that didn't go too in depth with. But I had a very vague sense of Greek mythos, but definitely like a lot of questions, and that was kind of like my biggest sort of concern going into this, just like clean slate, right? Like, how would I distinguish Percy lore that I wasn't kind of dialed in with from Greek myth lore, right? Like, how could I really like draw the lines between where one starts and one ends? But I think it was easy enough to kind of wrap my head around.
To get to hear kind of from somebody who represents like the general zeitgeisty understanding of mythology, but not like a super niche, didn't have a phase as a kid of being really into Greek mythology. Is perfect.
That's me.
Yeah, let's kick it off. The first episode of season 2, we are getting back to camp. So how did you feel like watching episode 1? If I had not given you the task to complete this season, do you think you would have kept going?
Man, that's a good question. Episode 5, not to like jump ahead a little bit, but like everything kind of clicked for me with episode 5, where I really kind of like understood the value of like this world and this lore, and like putting these original characters in these sort of like Greek mythos stories, right? Like the whole, what was her name? Circe's like sanctuary or spa. That really kind of like sealed the deal for me as to like, what this world has to offer. But getting to, some of those points, and especially having not read the books, not seen season 1, a lot of the like exposition mythology dumps kind of went over my head. And again, that was kind of like me not really knowing, like, is this just like me not being well versed in Greek mythology, or is this just like, material that was covered in Lightning Thief season 1 or the books for that matter. And I feel like it was the first 2 episodes. I mean, the acting really drew me in. The production design is world class. The visual effects were spectacular. The action was kind of incredible. So those sort of like base elements, right, were like able to engage me, pretty thoroughly and like, draw me in. I started this on Monday, watched 5 episodes this week, and really did not go into that assignment thinking I was going to watch so many back to back to back. But I felt at the end of each episode, I was kind of pretty enthralled and like hyped to jump into the next episode. So banged through 5 episodes this Monday and then finished it off Tuesday, 2 days ago. Yeah.
I love that you mentioned the action, because that is something, part of the reason why I was like, you can skip season 1 is because the jump from season 1 to season 2 is quite different on many levels. Like season 1, I don't know if I talked to you about this, how they filmed season 1 using the volume stage. And then this season, they didn't use the volume at all. Obviously, there's plenty of CGI, but it started from a place of practical effects, makeup, hair, costumes, stunts. So it's like looks quite different. And like action wise, obviously the kids are older. So there's just a lot more action this season, period. And kicking off the whole season with the chariot race was like, did you feel, let me say this in a question. Did you feel that kicking off the season with the chariot race set a tone in which you were able to then expect like big flashy action set pieces for the rest of the season?
Oh, certainly. Yeah. I mean, it's both a compliment to the series and maybe also like a slight critique, but it definitely had a very quick, almost like video game type pace where like I didn't necessarily know what we were doing at any given point or why we were doing it, but I was kind of just like down for the ride, like when he first shows up to camp and there are like those Viking sort of like behemoth guys throwing fireballs. And I was like, why? But, they look sick and amazing. So, I'm here for the action. But yeah, going back to your point on like, that practical set and, no use of the volume stage. I feel like a lot of the Disney shows that I watch do kind of leverage that volume stage. And so I was going in expecting, that sort of production scale. But yeah, I was really just kind of taken aback by like the real exteriors and like these real practically built sets. And no, it was all just kind of fantastic and very easy on the eyes. And if I ever got like bogged down by the exposition, then I was just, drawn in by all the other flashiness that the show was able to provide.
I like that you mentioned the pacing too, as far as like how much time was spent at Camp Half-Blood versus the whole rest of the season. So episodes 1 and 2 versus everything else. Like, did you feel satisfying in that sense, or did it feel like we were like going really quick and getting out on the road, getting out on the ship to leave?
Oh no, certainly. It had that sort of like quick pace again, like, any given moment, I wasn't entirely sure what we were doing, why we were doing it, or, what the deal was. But you bring up a point that I think connects to like one of the notes that I had. Let's see. In terms of, the kids being such a focal point and at such a young age. Well, I guess, the main trio, right? Percy, Annabeth, Rover, right? They're a bit older in age, more like teenage years. So, that kind of set to me going into it a tone that it was going to be a bit more of like a teenage drama, right? But then like, after like those big Viking guys start throwing the fireballs when they like first show up to camp, and then like the warrior tribe shows up and they are like prepubescent children, right? Like wearing these like warrior guards and everything. And I was just kind of like, wait, hold on. What are the stakes here? Because like these ogre, Cyclops dudes seem like they're like trying really hard to kill Percy. But then we have these, little children and like not a very convincing warrior tribe, protecting the gates of,
call out the Ares cabin. Tell them they're not that convincing.
I was like, wait, okay, so what are the stakes here? Like, are these kids kind of like defending camp to the death, right? That seems pretty intense for a summer camp. And then just kind of like begged the question, like, where are the adult supervisors here? This is giving Lord of the Flies a little bit. Like, what?
A question we have asked for years and years. Where is the adult supervision at camp?
Yeah.
Is Kyron doing his job? That's a really funny question for this season too. Wait, go ahead, Carter.
No, I mean, this is definitely something that people think about a lot, and that has, I think, been able to slide under the radar in the books, and has generally slid under the radar in a lot of similar middle grade books, because you don't have to see what all the other kids look like who you haven't developed this personal relationship with on these specific quests, fighting specific heroes. So like, if there's someone there who's younger than Percy and who we have not seen do the same things, and we're explicitly told that Percy is like a higher percentile of competence in this whole monster fighting business, are they about to die? I think is a fair question that you can kind of put to the back of your head in a book, and that is very much visually confronting you in the series, but that I genuinely don't know what the end run around that is, other than, I guess, trying to retcon some kind of like only the 18-year-olds at the front lines type of thing, which I think also would sacrifice a lot.
Totally. Yeah. And maybe something to do with the costumes, right? I don't know if this is like a lore thing from the books, like, you know, the orange t-shirt, right? Like, should that maybe just be for the
orange
freshmen,
and inherently
campers,
childish character,
right? And like the upperclassmen.
Losers!
I don't know, some more convincing, battle attire. But no, the ages definitely didn't necessarily take me out of it, but had me gave me difficulty with like pinpointing like where is the tone, right? Is this like a kid show, or is this like, are the stakes life and death? Seems like Percy, almost got hit by that fireball, and then the violence does ratchet up like super intensely, right? Jumping up. I mean, Percy gets stabbed. There's a whole battle. That's again really something I kept coming back to more intensely as the action got more visceral and violent. Like, what are the stakes here? Percy just got stabbed.
Yes.
Are there casualties of this, final battle at camp, right?
Right.
Seemed like a few kids got cut down, but
that's so interesting, especially because the first two books and seasons are kind of in a more nebulous, like kiddie place, like because season 3, spoiler for Dylan, is where the tone starts to shift into something that's more kind of clearly teenage and more dramatic. And like, we're not really supposed to, I mean, part of this, I think this was a big question, was like, you can't have somebody really die during this battle at the end of season 2, because the first like on-page, on-screen death is going to take place in season 3. And that's like a big tone shift. So this battle was actually at the end of season 2 is not in the books at all. Like there's no fight. Yeah. Like when we first saw that they were coming to Camp Half-Blood and fighting with Luke's army, we were like, what? But they can't, but it has to be like a mini battle in that sense, because we're still in the more like kid era, but it still needs to be like exciting and have the action and the drama.
Totally.
Can we keep going down Dylan's list of questions and thoughts? And we will pepper in our questions as we go along.
Yeah, no, totally. I kept pretty diligent notes going through each episode, questions as they came up, some of which were subsequently answered in follow-up episodes or the recap that started each one. But I guess, straight from the top, episode 1, like I said, I was a little nervous about how I would distinguish Percy lore that I wasn't familiar with from, established Greek mythology lore. First questions that came up was that cell phones attract monsters. I guess, does that tie into the book, or is that kind of like a modern sort of like narrative, I guess, obstacle that they had to kind of navigate? Because, I mean, when did these books come out? Early 2000s? Not everyone had cell phones, right? So is this like kind of like a modern day thing? Like, we kind of have to like tackle the issue of why they aren't texting each other, during the regular school year.
Yeah, no, this is a straight from the book thing.
Really?
Rick Riordan was like, like demigods can't use cell phones. Do you feel like the advent of the iris messages was a satisfying sort of like stand-in for being able to communicate, like when Annabeth is able to call Chiron, or when Luke is able to like FaceTime Annabeth on the island just to like have a bit of a long distance stand-in for a phone call. Did that like were you able to like, kind of like accept that as like a lore thing enough to stand in for a little bit of communication without having to have full-on cell phones?
To an extent. I guess I didn't really fully wrap my head around like, you know, how the iris sort of like operate. I didn't even know that was like what they called like the FaceTime mechanism, right? I thought it was like a Kylo Ren
Right.
or Kylo Ren Rey like love connection that like brought them together. But recognizing then that that's what brought Grover and Percy together in that like shared dream space, right? But then I thought that kind of carried over to all those like FaceTime calls as well. I didn't recognize it was like an actual device called an iris.
Wait, that makes so much sense that the empathy link is a little bit confusing compared to the iris messages.
I thought it was all kind of one and the same.
Yeah. In season 1, I do feel like Annabeth lectures Percy on how iris messages work, right?
Yeah,
Carter?
and they use them. They're kind of relatively plot instrumental iris message moments in season 1 that I think would have provided that context.
All right. Next note, we got a whole bunch, so we should maybe pick up the pace a little bit or trim some of these. Let's see. Percy's very dependent on his mom. That's just a simple note. That led me to think of, you know, how many other hero stories like this I've seen where they're all orphans, right? So really just like him kind of like liaisoning with his mom and his mom being like well-versed in this world. I was like, interesting. I don't think I've really ever seen that before.
Agreed.
Yes. Did you like it or were you not into it?
I guess it raised some questions, right? Like, my understanding is that the gods are like kind of keep to themselves, right? They only show up when they show up. So I guess how is Percy's mom so well versed in this whole world, right? Like, how much time did she spend with Poseidon? How much did she learn from him? I mean, she seems like a very comfortable subject matter expert on all of this. And, you know, again, the stakes seem really intense. You know, they're like, you know, battling at summer camp and all that. And she just seems like very nonchalantly like cool. Like, oh yeah, no, this is just, you know, a day in the life of the Jackson family. So I guess, you know, if anything, I was like, okay, I kind of get why heroes tend to be orphans in these sort of stories. Cause like in the back of my head, I'm just thinking like the parental supervision, right? Like what mom would let them go off and have these like grand sort of dangerous, you know, adventures or escapades, whatnot. But
it does make it harder to tell the story with having Sally still alive in that sense.
Let's see. The Grey Sisters are giving bus driver and prisoner of Azkaban. Or are they the Sisters of Fate or something different? I did a little bit of research, and I guess there are 2 groups of triplet sisters in Greek mythology, separate themes.
Yes. Common motif.
3 even if you count the Furies. Furies, Grey Sisters, and the Fates.
But I liked the actresses that cameoed in those roles, and that was great. Annabeth rode with them, though. How did she know where Percy was without the phone? Wasn't sure.
That's a really good question. In the book, that's such a good question, because in the book, she actually stalks Percy. It's like a part of the plot of the opening of the second book that she's stalking Percy like all day until she like reveals herself when he needs her at the end of the day, when he gets into the fight with the giants. So I guess I don't know. Do you think we're supposed to believe that like she just asked the Grey Sisters to lead her to Percy and the Grey Sisters use their omnipotence? Do you think, Carter?
No, I think the same thing happened and it's just not commented on screen.
That like, she stalked him and that then she called the cab.
There's still some filmic flourishes in the beginning of 201 that I think are meant to evoke observation from a third party. And there's some glances out a window where there's some motion and stuff. Where I think there's enough there that if you read the book, you would be able to make the tie-in and find it to be kind of a cute wink. And if you didn't, I think it would remain a question and hopefully not one that's too distracting. But I don't know. I guess they made the decision that it was too, that it was not something they wanted to explicitly offer into the plot, that she was invisible and watching him at his house.
That
Sure,
makes sense.
sure.
That makes sense. Hard to say that with, only a few lines of dialogue. Just best to maybe breeze past that stalking.
Good point, though. Good question.
Let's see what else we got here. We talked about the Viking Fireball dudes. They were sick. Slight video game pacing. I wasn't really sure what their deal was, but I liked it. Let's see. Followed by the least convincing warrior tribe ever. I'm sorry. Yeah, those orange t-shirts just kind of like took it out
Call
of me.
Call them out.
Is it literally the color orange and the t-shirt that was that like jointly was the problem?
I think also they're little.
I mean, it's all of the above, right? Yeah, it was kind of giving like, high school freshman year field day t-shirts that, I wore. And the fact that like visually, like I'm pretty sure I saw one kid with like braces, and it was just like these kids are far too young to be front lines of this, defense.
And were you like a Hunger Games? Have you watched all the Hunger Games movies, Dylan? Remind me.
I read the book in high school, just the first one. I saw the first two movies. I never saw part 1 and 2 of the last one in the series. Yeah.
Well, it's a big. I think there's just such a difference because, like, in Hunger Games, you're being told very explicitly, very early on, that it is violent and like this is a violent state, and like we should be scared. And these kids are experiencing real violence, and it's harder to tell in Percy Jackson because one, the adult supervision that is there is super irreverent. And two, we don't have super clear, we haven't gotten to the war yet, as we will get to the war with a capital W, like in the next book.
They also certainly aged everybody up in Hunger Games.
But there's still some, like, they age up, I think, the main characters, but they still have little kids around to sort of make the violence seem worse. But they aren't showing you kids like, with braces, with spears.
Didn't you feel like Amanda, like she was giving innocence, but she was giving an innocent, like, 16-year-old to me?
No.
You don't think so?
I recently, I just watched those movies. Let me counterpoint. Like, when we were kids, she didn't seem little. But now, as an AWOC, adult without
16
children.
Is little. But, like, the character in the books is supposed to be, like, 10 or something, right?
She looks like 10 or 12 in that movie, for sure. Hunger Games aside, that's for the Patreon. Yeah, it makes sense that, like, as like a random adult watching the show, seeing a kid with braces holding a spear is not like, oh, scary. Okay, continuing.
Let's see. The freshly dressed Asian with a scar on his face and piercing jawline is bad guy. I think that's Luke.
What do you call me?
No, that was a good villain entrance for sure. I was distracted with what he was actually doing. Missed that he poisoned the tree, right? I was just kind of
too distracted by the fit.
For sure. Oh, the Jonah jump scare was great. I forget the individual's name who plays Tantalus.
Jonah jump scare.
Yeah,
that is the Timothy Simons reference for everyone. That's his character in Veep. Don't watch Veep if you're a young child listening to this podcast episode right now.
Do watch it if you're an
AWOC.
old child.
No, that was the thing that I guess kept bringing me back in, which I feel like is kind of like a thing with these like young adult properties, right? The like adult actors that really kind of like elevated to like a certain stature, and this definitely was kind of playing in that sort of field.
Absolutely.
So anytime, an adult actor stepped in, it was like, okay, yeah, they're kind of not stealing the scene, but like elevating it definitely. He was great.
That one John Mulaney sketch from his Netflix children's special where they're doing a focus group with a bunch of elementary school children at the table about the voice actors in the new Disney show. And they have these kids saying something like, that's our Mandy Patinkin, always bringing the caliber of Blinky the Hippo to a serious caliber of acting. Where has he been since Homeland?
Do you think that's what the kids were saying about Margaret Cho? guest appearing as
I
a Grey
have
sister
to
in the
imagine
taxi
that
cab.
somebody was like, oh my god, Sandra Bernhard, she changed the game for stand-up in the 90s. I'm thrilled to see her. But of course, to your point, like, this is what we're trying to get at in the 4-quadrant conversation. Like, what is for the AWOCs who didn't read the books? Timothy Simons is for the AWOCs who didn't read the books. I think that's as it should be. Yeah.
Next question. Why is Dionysus in a chill Aloha shirt and Jonah/Tantalus in costume? Like, where do we draw the line between wardrobe choices?
Definitely a good
this
question.
Is very for real. I'm going to co-sign
This
that.
is for real. No, this is for real. This is super for real.
Follow up on that. Which would you have preferred? Would you rather had both of them in vaguely period costume or both of them in recognizably modern take costume?
Either or. I mean, I feel like Percy kind of leans towards like the real world grounded take, right? Like, isn't Mount Olympus like the Empire State Building, right? Am I
Yes.
correct with that? So yeah, you would think that kind of like, pushes you towards like a more ground. But I think just like consistency would kind of help, just pick one or the other and, stick with it. Because I think, Chiron shows up in another Aloha shirt. And for the most part, the wardrobe is like pretty grounded, right? But then, Tantalus is kind of like an outlier.
In the books, I believe he is wearing a prison jumpsuit the entire time because the gag is that he is on temporary lease from the Fields of Punishment to be doing this job.
Interesting.
Which
that would have worked.
I think it would have worked. I feel like there was probably someone in the background who said, I don't know about prison jumpsuits in my children's television. And then they made this pivot. If we were to guess, I'm team prison jumpsuit, but I'm team if we couldn't do the prison jumpsuit, I do think it would have helped to cohere things if he was, I don't know what other modern outfit they would have had him wearing though. Like, would he be...
He'd be like a finance bro, like something really annoying. Like, could he be wearing a Patagonia vest and khakis and a flannel?
He looks like a techie. Yeah.
Yeah.
If he can't be a prison person, yes.
Because he's like a Nepo baby, right? King Tantalus kind of vibe. Like, he's at a tech startup. That could have been the take.
Yeah,
Does
I don't
that
know.
track
I guess
for you,
the
Carter?
other worry is that like if he's wearing a Patagonia, we would have had to like kind of had it and like explain how he's Sam Altman or whoever, but I
and
think
there's not a lot of time for that.
But I see the vision, and I do feel like for modern audiences, if you didn't get that background and you just saw a guy on screen who's like 6'6" and in a Patagonia, you don't need to explain to know that he's generically evil and craven and floating about without a particular set of commitments.
And I think a lot of 8-year-olds would also understand that, like in their heart, they would know right away. They wouldn't need an explanation.
As much as they understand that Manny Patinkin is one of the great modern interpreters of Sondheim, the 8-year-olds also know that the Patagonia vest is a shortcut to great evil. Yes.
I want to say though, to this point, because I think that this one innocuous comment actually gets to something that Carter and I feel really intensely about and is like a large part of this conversation, is juxtaposition of the Greek mythos character in the modern day, either outfit or like you were saying with things kind of clicking for you when we got to Circe's spa, that like that's the fun thing, is putting these characters into situations in the modern day and like seeing where that could possibly lead and where you find the overlap between those things.
1000%. Yeah.
Yeah, like for us, what makes the book so exciting is all of that. And for season 2, like it's interesting that you specifically picked up on episode 5 because there's like a thing, or even really, there's really like a couple things in the book that we would have hit on prior to episode 5 to get to see that juxtaposition. Like the Laestrygonians are playing dodgeball. They're not just like attacking them on the way to camp. Like they end up being like school bullies who are throwing like flaming balls in a PE dodgeball
guys. Oh, and that's the name of the episode, right? They're playing dodgeball with cannonballs or something like that.
Yes, and that's a reference to in the book a literal game of dodgeball, school gym.
Wow.
Yeah, and then like for example, like the monster donuts would have happened before episode 5 too, right, Carter?
Yeah, monster donuts would have happened
before episode 5. Monster donuts, instead of having the like Kellogg box, they like go to an actual franchise
chain restaurant. Like in the books, they're hypothesizing that like Dunkin' Donuts and other maximal franchises are in fact manifestations of the spread of monstrosity across the nation.
Because the Hydra's a monster where if you cut off one head, 2 more heads grow. So the Rick Riordan joke is that like chain stores are actually controlled by Hydras, and like every time you close one, like 2 more will open.
Although the biggest one of these throughout the season, I think, including the Cersei spa moment, is supposed to be Princess Andromeda. That is supposed to be giving you a lot of that.
That's true.
What does it look like to see a monster next to a mortal in a context that should have most of the trappings of American modernity with its capitalism and excess and
you're right,
frivolousness and stuff. But that is leading me to wonder how that landed. The whole
Princess
Andromeda cruise ship situation.
Wait, can we skip to episode 3? Dylan notes.
Yeah, sure thing. We'll skip over the chariot race.
Which is just fantastic.
Yeah, no, that was a sick sequence. Again, I wasn't really sure why we were doing it, or what we were doing. Chariot race goes into a bird attack, and then Mariah Carey saves the day. But I'm here for it, especially.
She always does.
I'm like a James Bond fan, and that's like pretty typical of like every one of those movies. You try to ask yourself, what are we doing, and why are we doing it? And it's kind of hard to answer. So you're down for the ride.
Yes.
Let's see. Action, production, design, visual effects are all great. We mentioned that. Grover Tradwife, funny. Want more of that.
Grover Tradwife, funny.
I would have to agree.
All right. Episode 3. First note, this episode recap actually helped clarify the objective. Tree protects camp. Luke poisoned tree. Golden fleece heals tree /border. Not sure about the great prophecy, though.
Perfect. That's actually perfect. Yeah. That sounds like a win.
Good note. First to follow is how great prophecy weaved in, locked in are we as we move through. That's interesting.
And I honestly don't know. We'll keep coming back to that. I think a lot of these questions were subsequently answered, but the great prophecy, I feel at the end of the day, is something I still don't have like a really confident grasp on. But moving on, let's see.
Definitely.
Did you have specific questions on episode 3 or just?
Yeah. Did having the giant monsters on the cruise ship satisfy you? And like, it's that part of your brain that was like, oh, this is fun to have Greek monsters in a modern day setting.
Do you feel like a take?
Yeah.
We use air quotes for the listeners.
I guess I was just... It took me a while to kind of like get my frame of reference to like what we were doing on the yacht, right? Like I think before we see the monsters, right? I have like a vague sense of like the mist, right? So like there are monsters walking around. I accept that like, normal civilians can't see them. I get that. But then like the knife fight busts out and I'm like, where again are the adults? Where is the lifeguard? She goes like overboard. And then I recognize, oh, it's Kronos' ship. So, they're just in like enemy territory right now. I assume everyone's a bad guy monster. But yeah, no, I guess it worked. We spent a lot of time on the ship and I like the nautical theme of it all for sure.
Wait, this is raising a follow-up question for me. So there was something interesting in what you just said. Is your assumption that all of those scenes where there's whatever DNC playing and people doing beach, like volleyball in the pool or something, like what is your assumption about who those people are and what they have going on? Not those people specifically, but like people walking by in the background who are human. What was your takeaway from the episode about, like what are they doing?
Well, I guess initially I just thought they were like, cruise ship, patrons, right? Once it was revealed that it was Kronos' ship, then I think my mind kind of naturally went to like, everyone's kind of like an enemy and they're like deep behind enemy lines and everyone's kind of like in cahoots with Kronos. But then also kind of thinking like maybe this is just like a front or something by Kronos, right? Like he actually does have like a side business of, commercial
revolution,
right? So he could kind of chart through the sea of monsters, right? I wasn't really sure where I kind of landed on that, but
that is such a good pickup because they do address that, like call it 4 series later in the books. Who was funding the Princess Andromeda does come up.
On the other end of it, in the books, and I think we maybe took this for granted, it is made really explicit from almost the first moment you get there that most of the people on the ship are civilians who don't understand what's going on, and that they are there as some combination of cover for like the actual mission that is happening. And also, I don't know, actually no, that's like primarily what's going on in the books, right? Like that they are like a camouflage for the secret mission. I think this is a meaningful distinction because the Princess Andromeda is going to remain around for the next few seasons of the show.
It remains
and
his
whether
boat.
you understand it as this like essentially like front with a bunch of civilian human shields more or less / puppets is like going to be a really different reading from like our warboat happens to look like a cruise ship and there are just a bunch of true believers preparing to attack people and that's all we have going on. I feel like plot wise, mechanically those are quite
pretty
different.
Yeah. Which leads me to ask, like, what did you think about Luke? This is kind of his big episode. How did you feel about the really well-dressed Wasian pitching his war plan? Like, did he seem like a compelling villain at this moment? Were you intrigued by the sort of like gray area of it all? Like, who's in the right? Or were you pretty clearly like, Percy, take him down?
Focus Features and Blumhouse present Obsession.
When I have a crush on a guy, no one knows.
Be careful
I wish Nikki loved me more than anyone in the entire world.
who you wish for. Obsession is 96% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
I love you so much.
It's blood-soaked nightmare fuel.
What kind of spells you put on her?
You have been warned. Obsession. Rated R. Under 17. Animated without parent. Only in theaters May 15th. With special engagements in Dolby.
Ready to soundtrack your summer? With Red Bull Summer All Day Play, you choose a playlist that fits your summer vibe the best. Are you a festival fanatic, a deep end DJ, a road dog, or a trail mixer? Just add a song to your chosen playlist and put your summer on track. Red Bull Summer All Day Play. Red Bull gives you wings. Visit redbull.com/brightsummer ahead to learn more. See you this summer.
I don't know if this necessarily answers your question, but my next note is immediately more chemistry between Luke and Annabeth. Holy shit.
That is so funny.
Eric, I know I've known you for a while. I know Perkabeth is like the greatest love story ever told, but yeah, I think I might be Team Lucabeth.
Whoa!
Is that a thing?
Okay. Let's register with folks again. Like, don't send Dylan anything. This is
don't dox Dylan.
Is that a bad take?
It's a safe space. This is a safe space.
I think that the how would you say? I think the age gap between them is not constantly being, and also I think we should say like I assume that when referring to chemistry here, we're saying chemistry in the sense of like their relationship is deeper. They clearly know each other more, right?
Yeah,
is what we're referring to.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Also, the
Deeper
show
connection.
sets you up to think that because in the Grey Sisters taxi, there's the whole line about like, oh, your other boyfriend, the tall one from your dreams. Like,
And
they
then
want
when
you to
we're-
think that.
And then when she's got the siren vision, right? I feel like the sirens were kind of playing into that whole like love triangle dynamic. Like, was I just like making this up out of thin? Or is there kind of love triangle thing in the books? Or
it's a lowercase L love triangle, but also it is in the books. It is very ambiguous at the end, sort of what Luke. Well, let me.
Who
rephrase
had
this
what
for
kinds
Dylan's
of
sake.
feelings at what points in time? I think is ambiguous in the book deliberately. In the TV show, I think that the mission, if you were to ask them, is probably that it be a definitively lowercase L love triangle,
brother sister versus best friend Percy kind of situation. But it is supposed to be a split allegiance for Annabeth between who she trusts more and like who she trusts with the fate of the world. Is it Luke or is it Percy? And that is literally the central struggle for the rest of the show. So you're correct. And at the same time, like, Luke is also 7 years older than Annabeth, and so there's it's a whole situation.
Oh, I didn't get that it was like a 7-year gap. I thought it was like senior versus freshman.
So I think the reason why people have such strong defensive reactions is because at the time that they meet, he is 14 and she is 7.
Right.
Oh gosh.
And then,
I
got like 8 seasons of Game of Thrones and 3 of House of Dragons that kind of like, have like opened my sort of, acceptance
possibilities.
To some of these weird relationships.
That we need to be able to, like, I don't know. Like, I think it is appropriate for people to be really scared and delicate around the idea of problematic age gaps, especially when children are involved. It's a horrible phenomenon that happens a lot in life that we should be taking up arms to prevent. That all being said, I do think that there is something to the idea that, it's like in the books, that like a 13-year-old girl might be confused about what all is happening without having a lot of background to be able to make these distinctions and to be able to be really confident that, say, like, the way that she should understand her feelings about Luke is really different than the way that she should understand her feelings about Percy or whoever else, or Thalia even, but
it is a triangle of devotion and self-alignment, 100%. Like, that is what it is about. But like Carter was saying, when we first meet them, Annabeth is this really little kid and Luke is this angsty teen. So pushing forward to episode 204, we get the flashbacks. I was really curious how the flashback episode played for you, especially with the introduction of Thalia, who obviously we get to see at the very end of the season. But how did those flashbacks feel to you? Were you getting a sense of like, oh, this makes sense where we're going with this? Or were you like, why are we getting to know this random other girl who is not here right now?
My next note is, why were Luke and Annabeth on the run off the grid? A lot of those like backstories kind of like went over my head, right? Again, not really sure what we're doing or why we're doing it. Why isn't she at school, right? And then just kind of like leading to further questions about, like, I guess, when does this camp take place, right? Is it a true summer camp? And then Percy's going off doing his normal school year thing, but do other characters not have that same opportunity? Certainly Annabeth didn't growing up. So I wasn't really sure what her deal was, or what, the deal was.
Like, why she had run away.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. Yeah.
And at this point in the TV show, like, including season 1, we are not offered explanations for what is going on pre-runaway with both Annabeth and with Luke.
Yeah.
And the concept of that being an unsatisfactory kind of ambiguity makes sense.
And there are a few moments where Annabeth just seems kind of like fed up with Percy, right? Like, I got a follow-up note. Percy flirts with Annabeth and she seems disgusted. She says a line, something like, how do you know it's the right choice? And then he goes, because it's your choice.
It's yours.
And then she's just like, I would have respected you more if you had like an original thought. Just like really kind of lots of scenes where it just Annabeth is like shutting him down, and I'm like, Percy, bro, like, I don't know, man. She doesn't feel that way for you. Should have another call with Grover.
So true. Percy needs to be getting Grover's advice on this situation.
No, I think the suggestion was the other one. We gotta. You should have jumped ship and switched teams.
Switch to Grover. No, so true. A big question that this season brought up for Carter and I is actually Grover and Percy, were they supposed to be the greatest love story ever told? And the only thing that's different between Dylan's
if
nodding.
we switch the order of the kidnappings,
getting in the way. Yeah, no,
100%. This is such a big, because basically in this book, Grover gets kidnapped and he's gone, and in the next book, Annabeth gets kidnapped and she's gone. And so we were like, if it had been reversed, if it had been Grover and Percy alone in this book instead of Annabeth and Percy alone in this book, would everything have been different? And it would have been Grover and Percy instead of Percy and Annabeth.
1,000%, I would say.
Jury is kind of out. Okay, pushing ahead. Did you any thoughts on the epic mid-season finale kind of action sequence of the Ironclad being ripped apart and floating up into the sky?
That was super sick. Let's see. Let me skip ahead to that. There is one note that I do want to circle back on. But yeah, no, that boat sequence was sick. The monster that was like, climbing the cliffs, right? That was like picking off, the crew members from the boat. That was amazing. And then it goes right into like, Clarissa on the artillery gun shooting at the kaiju monster. That was amazing. I don't know Percy was doing, surfing on the bow of the ship, just like Oramaxing and like looking cool. But I was like, all right, you know.
Did you say Oramaxing and looking cool?
I did. I did.
Not wrong.
I wasn't sure what he was trying to achieve there. But no, yeah, that I was kind of astounded by how extravagant those visual effects were. Even like when he opens the side door to like one of the ships, right? You just see kind of like, you know, the water waves, you know, going. I was like, oh wow, that's kind of like a beautiful visual effect. And then it just like ratchets it up to 11 with the whole like whirlpool sequence and the artillery gun. Like, yeah, no, I was jazzed for sure. And wasn't at that point expecting to watch so many episodes, but just, yeah, felt like it was very easy to kind of just jump in right into like episode 5, you know, with a single viewing. So
you said there was one other thing on episode 204 you wanted to address.
Okay, yeah. He says something along the lines of a lot of what we do is because of our parents. We can be our own people speech, which I think resonated with me in a sense of like one of the issues that's inherent to like this story where like every character's like persona is so intrinsically tied to like who their parents are. It sort of like defines their personality in a sense. And at worst case boils them down to character tropes. I feel like Clarissa kind of is like most evident of this problem where she's just like, you know, this super gung-ho, like Captain America, like Boy Scout soldier, right? And just, yeah, kind of kept going back to what Clarissa's deal was, other than just being the daughter of heirs, which I guess kind of maybe answers that question. But
did that feel like one of the central ideas of the season to you, that like what you're left with at the end of the season is that you can make choices so that you don't have to be like your parents?
Well, Percy mentions that explicitly, right? Like we don't necessarily need to have our parents kind of like define who we are. I forget who he addresses that to. Maybe even Clarissa, but
probably
it's with Clarissa.
Yeah, on the boat. Yeah. In this episode. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's good to know. I wanted to ask specifically about like the family story nature of it and how much you were getting that like this is about a family kind of idea by the end of the season in regards to the kids and their parents, and even like Percy and Sally with his mortal parent.
To an extent, I mean, every character that was introduced, I naturally asked like, who is their parent, right? But yeah, we really only focus on like 3 or 4 demigods really intimately, right? Percy, Annabeth, Clarissa, and then maybe Luke, but he's too mysterious and evil to like really kind of like know.
Yeah, we're not going to get his backstory for another few seasons.
Right.
Maybe. We don't know.
I do know he's Lin-Manuel Miranda's kid, right? Hermes.
It's true.
That is true.
Yep. I picked up on that. But yeah, no, I don't think I ever really picked up on it being like a, you know, in-depth commentary on like family in a sense, right? Because I didn't see that much family dynamics at play, right? I mean, the gods only show up when they feel like it, right? I feel like they were kind of just like a super omnipotent, not super present presence.
Episode 205 is where we see some more Percabeth shit going down. So how are you feeling at this point on the read of their relationship? Seems like you enjoyed Cersei's. Did you enjoy the siren sequence with the rock mermaids?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. This is my favorite episode.
Nice.
Let's see.
That's actually so interesting because for context, like this was the episode when we first watched it, we were the most worried that it was going to get like the worst response from book fans because it has the most adaptive choices. So nice to hear that like they took kind of more of a leap on making this episode make more sense for television by combining a couple of chapters and like moving things around and giving us the fake out with the Athena thing. And that it ended up landing really well on an audience member who hasn't read the book at all.
No, yeah, this whole storyline, side quest, you know, level in the video game was, you know, fantastic. You know, it really kind of like showcased what this world has to offer, right? By taking these original characters, Percy, Annabeth, and putting them in these situations or stories that we're kind of all familiar with, right? Even with like my like elementary Greek mythos. I do know the Odyssey and Homer and like the whole sirens thing. And I was like, I'm sorry, who is Stavros and why is he on a stand-up jet ski? Stavros driving by sirens. Is this the Odyssey? LOL. Yep. Homer shout out. Let's go. So yeah, I was from the jump, like all in on this. I was like, this is exciting.
Would it have been clarifying if his name was not Stavros and like Adam or something? Like you wouldn't have been like, is this a mythological figure I'm supposed to know about? Or is that
maybe. I mean, he was just given such a hero entrance, right? That was like, who is this guy? And then he's on the standing jet ski. I'm like, where is he going? And then he dies really quick. I'm like, oh, okay. This is just the Odyssey. Got it.
Resolved itself. Cool. Okay, great.
Let's see. Cersei was barefoot. I bet they stayed clean through divine powers. Will this be investigated further? I'm afraid it wasn't. Cast is honestly really good. I thought some of the dialogue was really tricky, borderline ridiculous, but the boy that plays Percy, I mean, he did a really solid job of delivering these lines convincingly, even if he had to say quest like 100 different times. I was like,
he really does say quest a lot.
I know I've been applauding or giving props or flowers to the adult cast, but the kids, they do a fantastic job too. Again, the set design was sick. The whole sanctuary spa was pretty fantastic. Cool, practical set piece. The pirate reveal was fun, right? When Blackbeard shows up. Not sure why we haven't gotten another Pirates of the Caribbean movie, but that was a lot of fun.
Is that a Disney property?
It is.
It is a Disney property.
Yes.
I know why we haven't gotten another one.
Sure. Yes. But there was supposed to be a Margot Robbie produced and starring one. I'm not sure how that one fell apart. But
the daughter of Elizabeth Swan
and in the same Caribbean.
It's different set of pirates,
And why can't we be different pirates in the same Caribbean, huh?
We're like Keira Knightley. She's mostly
Nah.
Anyway.
They should figure out how to do another one.
They should figure it out. Yeah.
There's some material to work with there, I'm sure. Let's see. This whole storyline, side quest was great. Sirens versus Annabeth was cool. And I thought they were kind of hinting at, this love triangle, intense dynamic.
Yeah. How did you feel about the Percy Annabeth relationship by the end of the episode after the big save and the big, Percy saying that he didn't really see a siren vision? He just saw Annabeth and had to rescue Annabeth. How did that land on you?
We all have that dream trip we've been wishing we could go on. But too often, life, or usually price, gets in the way. That's why Priceline is here to help you turn your dream trip into reality. With up to 60% off hotels and up to 50% off flights, you can book everything you need for your next adventure. Don't just dream about that next trip. Book it with Priceline. Download the Priceline app or visit Priceline.com and book your next trip today.
Go to your happy price, Priceline. One crunchy bite of a Hershey's Cookies and Cream Bar, and I'm taken right back to college move-in day. I was a little overwhelmed by the newness of it all. Boxes were everywhere. I needed a break from unpacking. But just as I was able to take a breath and open my Hershey's Cookies and Cream Bar, my new roommate Rachel walked in. I offered her a piece, but she said no. Then after a beat, she said, actually, those are my favorite ones. We laughed. The ice was broken, and we've been friends ever since.
Hershey's. It's your happy place.
I think it just kind of went over my head. The one thing that really stood out is when she's having that Iris phone call with Luke, and then he just bops into there and interrupts the call. And I was like, dude. Don't be annoying.
Episode 206. Our favorite episode of the season. 206 on the island. Yeah, the jumping into the FaceTime call. Highlight of the season for us, for sure.
No, for sure. Episode 6 was fine. I felt like there wasn't that much momentum going into the next episode. Again, because I felt like we were going from one rescue mission right into the other, right?
Yeah.
So Polyphemus, that's the name of the...
yes. Cyclops.
Cyclops. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what his deal was. I got that he was baiting, Percy and Annabeth, but why and how and... How is Pan connected to the fleece? Also, who is Pan? But recognizing that's probably a season 1 Lightning Thief storyline that, I wasn't dialed into. But
Yes and no.
It's
yes
introduced.
and no.
Yeah.
I literally had my notes, was Wokey Femus's turn satisfying to you? When he sort of reveals that he's actually smarter than they thought that he was. And he's like, I've been doing stupid dumb voice to try to trick you. He's kind of like, it's interesting because he's set up like as...
We have a head shake. We have a head shake for the listeners.
We have a head shake. Yeah, he's sort of set up as like the final boss in the Sea of Monsters. But of course, he's not the final boss of the season because we have to go get Annabeth back from Luke, and Luke is our antagonist. So did he feel more just like another level as opposed to like the big bad?
Oh yeah, no, I did not get any sense that Polyphemus was like, end game sort of bad guy. I thought this was just kind of like, side quest storyline that Grover is kind of like going through. Not really sure how he got in that predicament, and not even sure how like Clarice got thrown into that situation too. But I was all for the trad wifing. I thought that was funny, but then they didn't really play into that all that much. And yeah, I honestly did not even like track or pick up that like Polyphemus was like dumbing down his demeanor. Went over my head.
Great.
I guess kind of along those same lines. This episode made me realize I didn't have a sense of what the Golden Fleece actually was, right? And then that got me thinking, okay, no, this is probably like an established Greek mythos thing. I get that it's like a safety blanket, it's a healing item. Not sure if it's a one-time use sort of thing. It seemed like, when Percy had it in the cave and was keen on giving it to Annabeth, someone needed the fleece, and Luke obviously wanted to take it to Kronos.
Yes.
I got the sense that it was like a one-time use sort of thing. Like, no, you can't use it for Talia. It needs to be for Kronos.
Oh, interesting.
But then when Percy throws it on himself when he gets stabbed, I think, is that this episode or the following episode?
It's the next one, 207. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I was like, okay, no. So that, I was mistaken with that. It's not like a one-time use sort of deal. But also just kind of asking myself the question, which I hadn't prior to this point, like, what's the lore behind the fleece?
Yeah.
And then just kind of, connected the dots and figured it was a, Greek mythos established item that came from like a magic goat or a magic sheep, and, just kind of accepted that and moved on. Was that correct?
It's funny because most of the book is the Odyssey, and the fleece is not the Odyssey. The fleece is actually Jason and the Argonauts, but it like serves to weave together the Grover search for Pan quest and the how do we save Thalia's tree quest, because the fleece smells like Pan, and that's why Grover ends up near the fleece, because Grover's sniffing the air for the scent of Pan, who is the Lord of the Wild, God of wild spaces, like father of satyrs. And that's Grover's whole mission, which they do explain in season 1, that Grover's whole thing is that he's trying to find Pan, who has been lost for like centuries. No one has seen him or heard from him. But you were correct. And they don't explain the fleece really much at all in the season.
No, there's like episode 1 or 2 when,
certainly,
when Percy and Grover are having that like shared dream space moment together, and Grover's like very flusteredly, kind of going off about the Golden Fleece. And I was like, okay, he's said that enough times where I'm picking up that that's like an important item. But then it wasn't until this episode where it like really kind of solidified like how important of a MacGuffin that was, and then what even the like larger lore of it was. But moving on. Okay, I think this is a note that I maybe skipped over earlier, but want to maybe circle back to. So Clarice, am I pronouncing that correct?
It's Clarice,
Clarice, okay. She catches Percy when he drops down the hole, right? Like actual Captain America. So like, I guess, do all the kids at this camp, do they have powers? Like, is this Xavier's School for Gifted Children, or are they just like, just because you have a god as a parent, like, you can come to this summer camp?
This is a very valid question. This is a very valid question.
It is a very valid question.
And then that begs and then like going back, like what was Percy doing on the bow of the ship? I was like, okay, I assume he's going to control the waters, right? But I didn't get the sense visually that he was doing that. So it's like, do they have powers?
Like, they're very explicit in season 1 about Percy having basically a waterbending journey over the course of the season that comes up less than you might expect for the ocean season. But there were like a few moments.
Honestly,
like, in the
does no
Sirens thing.
waterbending. Yeah.
No, he does. Like when he's at the bow of the ship, this is what he's doing. He's trying to like waterbend, but he's trying to waterbend the whole
doing it
ocean,
badly.
so you can't see really what's going on, and he's not really that successful. And the siren thing also is like supposed to be like a low key when he's pulling Annabeth out and they're going back to the boat. I think you're meant to get from context of season 1 and seeing him go on this waterbending journey that's what he's doing, is that he's waterbending them back through the ocean to the boat.
The other part of Percy's powers, which is I'm saying there's not a lot of waterbending specifically, because we're seeing all these Percy powers this season that are not explicitly doing hand movements and moving water. Like the boat pull thing, you don't see him physically do that.
So
there's
you don't
no
know
hand
it's waterbending.
Exactly. There's no lunging from side to side. So we don't know that he's bending the water. And also like him knowing where he is at all times in the ocean, like knowing exactly what coordinates they're at and like how far they are from the next island is also supposed to be a Poseidon child thing. But again, very little physical manifestation of doing water tricks.
But I do also think that the Captain America call out is right, because that is how generally we're supposed to understand all demigods, is being like a person, but a little bit more.
Certain heightened traits. Yeah, like the Aries kids
like
are
they
definitely
like
stronger
and
than
hot-headed.
average.
But not in a way where Captain America, like if he's up against, I don't know, a spray of bullets or like a tank or something, he's still screwed. He's still like a person, but plus like 10% or something. That is generally how you should be understanding most of the kids.
But the and no comes from the fact that like helpful. Annabeth can't like turn her head 360 degrees like an owl. She just is really smart. You know, she doesn't have any special powers in the sense of like she can
that of. I think that is a bit I would like to see from her, is turning her head around 360 degrees as the true child of Athena.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yes and no. Very good question. Very astute pickup on that.
I'm glad.
That there's ambiguity is interesting. Yeah.
Let's see. What else do we have
here?
207,
the penultimate episode.
Again, these episode recaps frequently came in clutch. I don't think I recognized that Kronos needed the fleece to speed up his healing until
good to know.
The episode 7 recap. So that was kind of, good to know.
Good.
Let's see.
How did you feel about the Kronos headache infusion and mind-speaking powers of Kronos sort of coming into Luke's mind or into Allison's mind? And were you like readily able to accept that as kind of like a villainy trope?
Oh yeah, 1000%. I feel like I've seen that like a million bajillion times, right? Like Force choking, or like, Voldemort being, in a weird state that he needs to, be brought back
counterpoint,
from.
Did it feel derivative and done before?
I mean,
that's a leading question. That is a leading question.
Sorry. Carter's the one who had a problem with this.
I mean, that is how I would lead the witness as well, but I
think when inherently you're kind of like building out like a young adult fantasy series, like there are going to be tropes, or there are going to be, I guess, things that you borrow from. And the like Jedi mind trick or Jedi Force choke was one of those. And the fact that he was like a slumbering, entity that needed to be awakened. I mean, there was like 4 Mummy movies that kind of dealt with that too. So that's like, I accepted that I've seen this before, and like, okay, I feel this is kind of like familiar territory.
For sure.
Let's see, that wide shot of Talia fight during the evening, smash cut to present day Tree during the day was sick. Let's see, who is this waspy yacht guy Aiden that they kidnapped? I think we'll really circle back to Aiden. I don't know what his deal was.
That he was bisexual? Follow-up question.
No, I got like finance bro, like super waspy yacht guy, problematic. No, I did not get bisexual vibes from him.
Fair enough. I do feel like a lot of I think everything that you described to me, is perfectly compatible with bisexuality. But I do agree that those are the top notes.
Also, that's a character they invented for the show. We've never seen, that's like a random character guest star. He's not in the books.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
We can only assume that that's a series wrap on Aiden, but we don't.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Well, kind of like, sidebar to that note, we're back on the Andromeda, right? These bad demigods on the ship have me interested in other demigods. Like, what's their story? I really only know 3 of them, maybe 4, but Luke's too mysterious. I think we kind of touched on that earlier.
Yeah.
Would kind of like to expand the scope on some of these other side characters, especially the ones that are like, riding with Kronos, right? Like, why are they so like passionately, on his side?
Yeah.
Also, I'm confused. How did Percy get back on the ship? I think you kind of touched on that recently, Erica, where like he just has these Poseidon powers where he kind of has like sonar of the sea. Does that play into
That's
this?
true.
Or?
I mean, that's a good point. Like, how did he just kind of like sneak on? I think he's just snuck on, like Sweet Life on Deck style, how they do in that 3rd episode. Like maybe he put on a janitor's outfit and then walked onto the ship. They dock it at the beginning of the episode.
Helped him up.
Yeah. They're like docked on that Long Island wharf town. So the boat is there. Yeah. Physically, how he sneaks on, I'm not sure. That's a good point. I never picked up on that.
Let's see. What else do we got here? We touched on this like way back in the beginning. How is the mom such a subject matter expert on Olympus? How long was she with Poseidon?
Yeah.
When they only show up when they feel like it. Is the fleece a one-time use item? We covered that. Okay, and this I think was one of my like first points I brought up to you guys. I know Percy just got stabbed in the elevator, but are these kids really fighting to the death over all of this? Is death common for these side characters? I was surprised to see them all sword fighting so viciously. Action set piece was, fantastic, but I just kept asking myself, like, are these stakes really life or death? I hadn't really gotten that sense up until, the swords are unsheathed and they're just like, going at it, like, quite violently. I was like, oh wow, visceral and awesome.
Do you feel like that was like a productive ambiguity for you, or like I guess did it take you out of it, or was it positive, neutral, negative? Like the sense of not knowing how much violence to expect in a moment, I feel like is supposed to be deliberate, but I'm wondering if it struck you as distracting or suspense building or
like, is Luke
else.
actually gonna kill Percy right now? Could that possibly happen?
Yeah, I guess, and this is kind of where like, the orange t-shirts come back into the play, and some of, like the really younger cast members, like, I was kind of going through the motion, like family friendly kid show, lots of, kids being sort of showcased or thrown into these like larger than life situations. I never really got the sense that they were in danger, right? But then, when these action, beats really start to play out, and it was almost like taken aback by like how much viciousness there was, and I really hadn't gotten a sense up until that point that like lives were at stake here. I guess follow-up question to that: did Percy learn to fight like that after just one summer away at camp? Like, he was pretty competent with that sword, and
I love this question. I love this question because it has been a source of so much personal, for me, Twitter arguing with people, because people were mad that he wasn't better at sword fighting. And I was like, better? He spent one summer at camp. And the lore
Jedi Master, yeah.
Yes, the lore that you get in season 1 is that Luke taught Percy how to sword fight. So the idea is that like Luke is Percy's teacher, and so in a way, like, Percy is particularly adept at fighting Luke, I think, because he sort of knows it's like Jedi fighting master in that sense. Did you get the sense that when it comes to the viciousness, that it was really like, it's really Luke that's being vicious, and like Luke, and like, I mean, Allison's pretty brutal too, the redhead on the Luke army, like it's them that's being vicious, and that like Percy is pretty much like defending most of the time, like he's on defense in these fights.
Oh, certainly. I would. Luke was definitely like the perpetrator of like most of the violence, like, skipping ahead to the battle sequence when he's just like pummeling Percy's face, right? Like, Edward Norton in Fight Club. I was just like, oh my God, like this is insane. And then I think like it was mostly the orange t-shirt kids that were getting cut down. So yeah, I definitely felt as though the violence was being perpetrated by, Luke and company for sure.
Yeah.
One further question before we officially move on to episode 8. Why does Kronos care about Camp Half-Blood? Like, shouldn't his focus be on Mount Olympus, right? Like, why doesn't he have like bigger sort of, I guess, targets in mind?
That's a good question.
Is really interesting, and I conceptually agree that the show could have done more to clarify why this is a target and why the stakes are as they are. Because I could understand, this is definitely a leading question, but did it read to you as kind of like personal vendetta? I've given up on Percy, so we're just going to kill all of the kids now. Because why not? Because I'm mustache twirly evil, as opposed to being strategic.
In my head, I assumed it connected back to the prophecy, which I think is probably like the biggest thing I still don't have like a full understanding of.
Yeah.
And figured it had to tie into the prophecy and the prophesized child that he had to snuff out.
My answer to the question is that on episode 203, Luke is talking about how in order to resurrect Kronos, they need allegiance of demigods. They need demigods to swear themselves over to Kronos' side, and that like powerful show of loyalty allows Kronos to resurrect faster. Like he needs to be prayed to and praised in order to come back to a physical form. And so if Camp Half-Blood demigods aren't going to join him, then they need to be cut down because they're like a liability in that sense. And if they're not on their side, then they should be on no side.
I think he
does talk
any
about
of that.
Yeah.
They talk about that a little, but I do think that there is a perhaps heightened, like a more discussed and a maybe more deeply felt sense that like demigods are the core bargaining chip. They're the core like mediating party that's going to decide the fate of how the war goes on by the time we are having Kronos' army make a serious attack on camp. But yeah. I think that this is a well taken point, that we don't have a crisp enough sense for what the point is and why he's having this attack happen.
Yeah, because there's also, like we said, like in the book, they don't have this big fight at the end. Luke does poison the tree at the beginning of the season, but they don't come and attack camp at the end of the book. And so that was a big adaptive change for the season. And if we didn't have the fight at the end and it was just Luke poisoning the tree, then I think I would argue that Luke was trying to put Thalia out of her misery by killing the tree so that she can finally like move on to an afterlife. And he had no intention
also just saying like the point is to have the campers find the fleece so that he can steal it, and that's like enough.
Yeah, he's poisoning the tree A, to kill Thalia for once and for all, and also B, so that he forces the quest for the fleece because he needs the fleece and he can't find it. But if Camp Half-Blood sends a quest out for the fleece to aid Thalia's tree, then Luke is able to steal the fleece once they find it and use it to heal Kronos. So why they necessarily like went to attack on camp is I think open for debate at this point in time.
When did Luke come up with the plan regarding Thalia turning heel? Did Kronos mention that? Because last time Kronos was like force choking him when he asked like, hey, you didn't tell me that we could bring back Thalia with the golden fleece. And then he gets force choked. But now he's like super gung ho.
Is such an interesting reading of what happened that I think we'll have to use.
I know it was more of
from
like
now on.
We're gonna say that from now on.
I know it was like
brain choked.
He was squeezing his brain, right, and it was like top of the dome headache. But I missed how Luke kind of came up with that plan or where that came from. Let's see, the beaded necklaces. I picked up on Annabeth wearing that. And I thought that was just like a stylistic choice. But then once we spent like a lot of time, episode 8, back at camp, I then noticed like all of the camp kids were wearing necklaces. So what's the deal with that?
What gives?
That one's clearly taken care of in season 1.
They get beads for every summer they've been at camp.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a status-y thing. It's like supposed to be a campy thing. Yeah, it's a camp thing.
Remembrance. Yeah.
Did Percy have a necklace with one bead on it then?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I picked up on that.
Yep, just one bead.
like part of Annabeth's character as written and as performed is that one of her nervous tics is fiddling with her necklace. So you see her necklace all the time.
Right.
Whereas like Percy just kind of like he wears his, but it's not.
Yeah.
There's no like
it's not in the
camera
forefront
on it. Yeah.
Again, I'm sorry to bash on these orange t-shirts, but this is where it like legitimately got unsettling for me, and I got like the strongest Lord of the Flies sort of like tone.
To me, I think this is legitimately like a bone deep. Are you a fan or are you not a fan? Because I feel like if we were to come to the series for the first time at the age that we are now, would be like, why is it orange? Why is it a t-shirt? Where like it is, they feel like bizarre contingent choices that I think need to be brought up in. You need to have a prepubescent exposure to this iconography for it to register, I think, as iconography and not kind of like a
random. Yeah.
No, when the gang was like piling on Clarice in the chariot race stadium, that was like when I was actually like the most unsettled. And I was like, this is like straight up Lord of the Flies. Like these kids are with the swords.
Yeah.
Just, like, really just off the deep end.
How did that? I wanted to specifically ask about the Chris Rodriguez thing. How did that feel to have that one camper, Chris, like reveal that he was like, I'm on Luke's side. I've been spying the whole time.
I don't even necessarily think I picked up on that. I thought he was, I knew he was pissed at Percy and Annabeth for like hijacking the quest. So I recognized they were kind of in like technical trouble. But I never really even got the sense that he like turned heel. I was like, why are they just, beating on Clarice so aggressively? This is scary.
No, it's a confusing episode.
Having said that, I do appreciate how the t-shirts denoted who was on whose side during the battle. Yes. That was a nice like visual cue. Yes. I appreciated that. Again, where are the adults? This turned so violent really quick. Talia free, but why did she and Percy pass out? When I didn't really know what the deal with that was.
For drama. It was a great shot.
Sure. The falling down. I liked it. Another adult casting surprise. Gustav Graves from Die Another Day plays Poseidon, wearing a pea coat circa 18th century British naval officer.
A fascinating way to place Toby Stevens.
I love that you also picked up on the British naval officer thing, though, because we were really harping on this.
We talked about that pea coat a lot. Yeah.
No, the pea coat was sick. I'm afraid I didn't know that actor by name, but I think I've even mentioned
Toby
James
Stevens.
Bond on this podcast. Toby Stevens. He played the bad guy in the 20th James Bond film, Die Another Day, the last Pierce Brosnan film.
I had no idea. Good for him.
I love that.
He's the lead of Maggie Black Sails. Yeah, he's Maggie Smith's son. And in addition to being like a prolific British actor, he was also the lead in this showrunner team's previous TV show. He plays the lead pirate in Black Sails. So he had to be Poseidon.
That was hyped to see him for sure. The battle is over. Where's Talia? She did have her grand entrance and like the very last, before the credits rolled. No one seems to grieve any of the fallen soldiers that died in the battle. Were there any casualties? Wasn't really sure. Never recognized Chiron was a Minotaur until this moment. That was kind of I did like a double take.
That's gonna be the pull quote. That is the
title of this episode,
actually. Let's see. So what's the great prophecy say? I know Percy has nightmares about Talia, but what's her deal? How does she connect with the prophecy?
That is maybe a good note for us to close on. So like all we get for the great prophecy is in 207. Like Kronos is saying it. Those are the real lines that he's saying while he's like he thinks he's making a deal with Percy, and then Percy is kind of not interested, not having it.
He's like, I don't care. Yeah.
But that is interesting that didn't, I guess we should ask this as a question. Like what of the great prophecy, if anything, did register as far as like, what is in it? What are the stakes that it creates?
Yeah, just on your first watch through, like, what are you thinking his prophecy is about?
I figure it's about Percy and giving us, the audience, a reason to follow him so intimately, as opposed to I don't know any of the other characters, Luke. And I guess it kind of gives him some like ambiguity with like, I guess the decisions he makes, right? Or gives it some sort of stakes, right? Like his fatal flaw was caring too much about his friends. He's obviously going to play into that, but will he play into that at the behest of the downfall of Olympus, right? So I got that he's like maybe destined to either be like a great savior or a great sort of destructive force, and it's kind of unclear. But I'm not really entirely sure how Talia fits into that. I guess maybe, who was it? Chiron mentioned that maybe Talia is the prophesized child and not Percy. TBD. We'll see.
Yes.
Stay tuned for season 3.
Yeah.
See, I literally think that's all there is to know. At this point,
really?
everything that you could know by like very close reading the TV show and not reading the books is in what you just said. That there's like a small group of demigods who are prophesized to, like, one of that small group of demigods will make a decision that is going to essentially decide whether it's going to be Kronos or the Olympians in charge. Which it sounds like is what you got out of it. And like the details of that are at this point meant to be vague, but it is interesting to hear that vagueness felt unsatisfactory or distracting. Or
I was wondering if you felt like, you were intentionally in the dark about the Great Prophecy by the end of the season, or if you felt like as a viewer you missed something that you were supposed to have known by the end of the season.
No, I kept getting the sense that I was like missing something important.
Interesting.
Not that it was explicitly vague, and you were kind of meant to just follow along as they discovered it for themselves, right? But anytime I had a question I couldn't really come up with a satisfying conclusion, I would frequently kind of go back to the prophecy and it's like, oh well, maybe this just ties into the prophecy somehow, some way. Not too sure. Moving on.
The prophecy is not something that is revealed in the book this early in the series. Like it was that like getting half of the prophecy in this book in this season was a big adaptation choice as well. You kind of like know that there's a prophecy, but you had no idea what it's about until later.
I think that like the information we had was what I don't know. I think there's maybe something to the book idea of like doling it out conceptually. Like Annabeth overheard something about the Great Prophecy, and it is Percy's going to make a big decision.
But we don't hear the actual lines.
But we don't know the details, and it doesn't. I guess in that frame, there is less of a sense that it feels like we are missing details that we're supposed to have, because everyone on screen at any given point has the same details, which are Percy's going to make a big choice, and that's it. And I wonder how, because of the lines, one of the things that we were talking about that is related to this is how much we should guess that Percy can guess the other details based on what he's heard. Because in the season, he doesn't circle back on that.
Yeah,
and
he never asks about the prophecy. He never is like, I heard this.
He hears more lines, and he never debriefs on those lines with people who are, frankly, more educated in how prophecies work. And because I think it is very possible with the lines that we get to know that base piece of information that we already had, but then there is maybe we are edging up on this reveal that Percy is maybe going to die as part of the prophecy. Like we get the first 4 lines, and the last line is the hero's soul cursed blade shall blank rhymes with sleep, and that's when he starts fighting Kronos. But he probably has the wherewithal to be able to talk to Annabeth, and she'd be like, let me get out my rhyming dictionary. There are only so many words I can go there. Oh, maybe you're going to die.
It's like Grover said, isn't there always a prophecy?
I do feel like to that point, there's some of this that we can get out of the generic fantasy. Like there's always a prophecy. Our main guy is the most important guy. He's going to change everything. But I think this prophecy is different from I guess the 2 primary references people might bring to this are like Star Wars and Harry Potter. And in both of those, the prophecy is not, the main character being evil isn't on the table in either of those prophecies. It is like, you are the best shot we have to do a good thing. How good of a job are you going to do at that? And what are the twists and turns on the way to you maybe being able to do that good thing? Whereas the Percy prophecy is like very explicitly like, you're going to swing the world in a direction, not like you are our best shot at making a good thing happen, which I feel like is an interesting dimension that maybe isn't, I don't know. I should frame this as a question. Did that valence, do you feel like appear to you, or did it get kind of lost in the generalized, this is speculative fiction and there's a prophecy, and so I just know that the person's important kind of?
Yeah.
No, I definitely picked up on the ambiguity of the prophecy, right? Like there wasn't like, I guess bring it back to like your Star Wars comparison, right? Like there was like a pretty clear cut prophecy that they just sort of like misinterpreted, right? Like you will be the chosen one to bring balance to the force. And they kind of just like misinterpreted what that actually meant. But no, I think from what I gathered, this prophecy was like explicitly vague in the sense that like, yeah, this could swing in either direction. We don't know if like ultimately you're going to be a big presence in this world. And we don't know if you're going to be like a force of good or evil, to be determined. But your fatal flaw is that you're, a bit too keen on your friendships, and that might be your downfall.
Perfectly interpreted. I feel like we can say, like, I know this feels like we were like Dylan was getting a pop quiz on like how well he understood Percy Jackson, but this was really we could understand like how the show reads, like how easy to interpret is it, and it seems like it landed pretty well on the most important points as far as the plot to continue on to season 5.
Totally. Yeah, I don't think I have like too many lasting questions, right? I feel like it all wrapped up in like a satisfactory fashion, and then we got a post-credit scene with Cersei, right? Cersei. I mean, she was definitely the goat of the season, so I was happy to see her pop back up.
I love that you
Percy
loved her.
Statue is out. Solid B+. I enjoyed it.
Did you get to the second post-credit scene on Disney Plus in that final episode?
Where it teases season 3?
Yeah, and they're like at the dance.
I did. I was confused, but then ultimately, when they had like the, Percy and Annabeth will, be back in season 3 this year. Yeah, we'll return this year. I was like, okay, this is a season 3 tease, which is honestly super impressive. I mean, you were just on set with them filming season 2, like a year ago to the date, right? And they've already got, I mean, that's a pretty impressive turnaround.
We're back to yearly television.
Wow.
Fingers, They need to do the official announcement on season 4 because they have wrapped season 3. I mean, they've wrapped production. They're obviously doing post-production now, but we don't have a firm.
But the writers' room is going to need to assemble soon
in an official
if they
capacity.
Want to do yearly season 4.
How many books are there?
There's 5 in the main series.
5 in the main series, and then we got to switch them over to doing movies. Is the pitch.
The second series we think should be movies. That's our opinion. But we'll see if Disney makes it to season 5. I will be like hailing the mouse at that point. I will be like, thank God! Like I'm so impressed that this happened. So I won't be greedy past that. Thank you, Dylan. I feel like you answer all. I was going to ask like more about Percibeth, but we already know you're a Lucabeth stan, and I was going to ask kind of about the sides of the army, but I feel like you've been pretty clear on like Luke's the bad guy, so we kind of know that that's the established. He's the villain, and we don't have kind of any sense of like he's good and bad. He's got a scar on his face. That's an easy indicator.
Scarface.
Yeah. Are you? Okay. So I guess this is the last question. Are you intrigued enough to tune into season 3? And if so, why? And if not, what would you want to see a little bit more of?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to be waiting with bated breath for, the season 3 episode 1 episode to launch. I really liked being able to kind of like binge this season in like a quick 24, 48 hour, session. So
interesting.
I've been approaching a lot of streaming shows like this where I kind of like give it a beat, wait for like a few episodes to air and then kind of go back and binge it. So I might kind of approach season 3 with that same sort of, approach. But I really was, I guess, ultimately enthralled. I was not expecting to like so viciously tear through 5 episodes in one sitting, but I genuinely was kind of, super hyped to just kind of go, into the next episode. And it had a fun, adventurous tone and scale and amazing action set pieces. That it was a fun watch, a solid B+, and I'll be seated for season 3 for sure.
Did you have a favorite character of the kids? So like not including the guest stars.
Did I not make it clear that Luke might be my favorite?
Yeah! Let's go! Welcome to the right place.
Luke's awesome.
Fun fact, Charlie, that actor is a voice in the new Star Wars TV show too. So the parallels between Luke, he's in the Star Wars cinematic universe now too. And he's been like toting from the beginning of him being cast in this role, like the similarities between Luke and Anakin Skywalker. So it's fun that he's now in the Darth Maul show. Dylan, thank you so much. I'm sorry that we held you hostage here for 2 hours.
No. Has it really been that long? Oh my goodness.
Been 2 hours. Do you want to promote your Letterboxd or something? Like, is there anywhere you want people to find you on the internet?
That's quite all right. No, private across the board. You can find me the next time I'm a featured guest on Seaweed Brain podcast.
You got it. Yeah, Carter and I are both anonymous
Maybe this
Letterboxd
is a plug
users.
for our Patreon.
Plug for the Patreon.
That's where
Come
you
listen to
can
Dylan talk about other things on our Patreon. Thanks, Dylan. Bye, everyone.
Bye, all.